We know that DIY and renovations can be very intriguing as a homeowner. What? Let me paint the walls. Let me DIY this accent wall. I know that's all very, very, very exciting, but today we are going to let you know what tips and tricks are the most beneficial as a seller.
I'm Holly Haven.
And I'm Andy Haven.
And we are your North Texas No Filter Real Estate team. And we are excited today to talk to you about these home renovations.
Yeah, this is a big, big topic when sellers come to us and they're like, what can I do to help increase my value?
Yeah, we've definitely seen some things done really well, and we've seen some renovations done really, really poorly. And guys, you put a lot of time and money, especially if you're going to DIY this and you're kind of trying to figure it out. But what you don't want to do is negatively affect the value of your home after you've spent the time and money. So today we just want to dive into a few tips, things you need to consider, not only when planning and getting started, but also maybe where to spend the money. So let's talk about the very first step, planning. Guys, do not watch that TikTok video and then run out to Home Depot to buy all of your goodies and come back without a clue what you're doing. Spend some time planning. Get a visual together, whether it's a Pinterest board, right? An inspo board. Go Google some things. Get some images that really you want to recreate. But then you need to do the research on what it takes to actually get a good result. So I'm going to say tile is probably the biggest one that people do incorrectly. So we're going to dive into some of those tips. But number one, when you're planning this, not only do you want to plan the design, the scope of work, what it's going to take to actually get the job completed, decide if you're going to hire somebody, you're going to do it yourself. So know your own limitations, guys. But when it comes to budgeting, give yourself easily a 10 to 20% buffer. If you think it's going to cost you $5,000, give yourself a little bit of room for mistakes or, just the cost of excess materials.
And a lot of times people don't think, they're like, oh, well, I already have sandpaper at home. Well, that's great. But if you need more sandpaper, you're going to have to go out and buy that. And that's an additional charge that you probably didn't take into consideration. What if you run out of paint? What if you mess up a board?
What if you don't have the right sandpaper at home, Andy?
You just use the wrong sandpaper and keep on moving.
These are mistakes that we've made, if we're being honest. As we mentioned that sandpaper, it's actually part of our next tip, and it's choosing the right materials.
Yeah, and this goes hand in hand with planning. This is something you need to make a list. What I do is I get on Canva and I make a whole template of what I'm going to be building so that I can do all of the dimensions. I have everything written down. You can also then just print it off and you have a blueprint basically for what you're building. But I write out every single material. I go on Pinterest, I go on Facebook, I look at how other people have done these jobs before so that I'm not just kind of doing a hat trick, pulling random measurements and crap out of the air, because I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm not very capable in that sense. What I would suggest is whenever we're looking at materials, you're actually getting what they suggest. You're not getting the off-brand. You're not getting the good value glue for your floors. We're trying to make sure that your renovations will actually help improve your property. We don't want peel and stick tile coming up after 2 days. We don't want, so there's things you have to kind of decide there. Some things that I do think we don't have to spend as much money on is maybe carpet. If you have to replace carpet, you don't have to go with an expensive carpet. Right. If the cheap carpet will do the job. Tiles on your backsplash. That's something that if you can find one that's cheap and it looks good, no sense in spending a ton of money on backsplash, just for instance. But I do think choosing the right materials will help in the long run.
Yeah, one thing we see a lot is when you're doing a project that works with wood versus regular wood versus MDF. Yeah. Knowing the end result of your project will make a big difference on the items that you choose to actually complete the project. So really planning, choosing those right materials, following some kind of guide, especially if you've never done this before. So just kind of set yourself up for success. And talking about those trendy or those materials, don't get too trendy, especially if you think I'm going to be, selling this house in 2 years, right? Just be really conscientious of a super trendy color, something that's not easy to change like tile or flooring. So making the right decisions there and really doing some research of what is up and coming in trends will make a big difference.
The other thing, again, you can go on Pinterest and kind of make a board of what's trending and not trendy. Trending would be kind of a navy blue color. That's something that's typically across the board a pretty solid color palette to go with. Grays are typically a pretty solid color palette to go with. But going off of that, making sure that whenever you're going to sell your home, say you want to sell your home in 6 months and you're redoing a few things in the home, don't do something that you want. Do something that the population would want. Yeah. So if you like tan walls, let's maybe go with white. It's something that's very generic. Everybody typically likes it. And if they don't, they can change that.
Yep.
But changing the whole house from tan to white just makes it a little bit more difficult.
So making it a blank canvas, you can always add your personal pop of color and personality in pillows and light paint touches and artwork. That was hard for me to get out. Okay, let's jump on to DIY versus hiring a professional. I touched on it a little earlier.
This is something I struggle with because I think that I'm a professional and I'm not. So I think that's the big question here. If you are not a professional, is it something that you think you could do your greatest job at and everybody would walk in and be like, wow, that looks really great? Yeah. Or is it something that maybe we could pay a little extra money and get a better outcome?
Yeah. And guys, think about like things that are trendy, that are maybe a simple application. We talk a lot about just, painting one wall or doing a little bit of an application on one wall, or even I've seen people do wallpaper, the stick and peel wallpaper, which works really well for some people. But if you're really going to you're going to rip out cabinets in a bathroom, you're going to rip out floors in the living room, I would highly recommend you consider hiring professionals, get some quotes at least, know what you're up against, and do the research on the products that you're wanting to put in. Some people are naturally very, very handy. We want to save you some time and money here. Sometimes paying that little bit of extra will take you further in the long run. If we're looking at resale value, the finished product, actually, not having that project take 6 months or a year when it should have taken 2 weeks. So just some things to consider.
Well, and that's something, going back to planning and preparing, this is something that you may want to kind of weigh your options. If DIY did not work out and you had to completely redo it, so times your cost times 2, would it make up for the fact that you're not using a professional? Honestly, because at the end of the day, if you have to restart, it might be more expensive than just using a professional from the start.
Or more stressful.
Calculate your time investment into this as well, just as much as money.
One of the things we're seeing a lot lately is people are wanting to really maximize the space they have in their home. So we need maybe home offices or playrooms or school rooms, right? We're doing workout rooms. We have a lot of different things happening as people are getting to, work from home, don't have to commute as much, making some changes, but maybe not quite ready for the higher house payment or the more square footage. So maximizing those small spaces can be a huge impact, especially if you're considering selling this home pretty soon. We want people to walk in and kind of have that wow factor, not feel like the house is closed and small. So a few things you can do there are the light, bright paints. We mentioned the white paints, really, really light touches of gray, nothing super dark or heavy. Windows, right? Take the blinds off the windows or keep them open. Let the natural light in.
And
curtains.
Curtains
Just something
instead
that
of blinds.
Just kind of finishes off the room a little bit. And then I like to say a live plant. If you can get something green, even if it's not live, if it's really pretty, something green that can kind of bring that outside in, makes the space feel a little bit larger. And then mirrors are great.
Yeah, mirrors are awesome. And the best place to find mirrors would be TJ Maxx or Home Goods. Yep. Mirrors can be super, super, super expensive, but they can transform an entire space.
And I love Hobby Lobby when they do their 40 or 50% off on certain items. It's a great place to look. So if you have your plan in place, you know what you want, then you can spend some time finding the right products and still saving yourself a little money.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's talk about the power of lighting.
Yeah, this is kind of going off what we just talked about. If you have blinds creating a dark space, this is a chance to take those blinds down, add some curtains, bring in some natural light. But other than natural light, we have the feature of lighting. So this could be pendant lights in the kitchen. This could be a large chandelier in the living room, something that kind of draws your eye up. If you have a smaller space, you don't want a lot of things hanging from the ceiling though. So that's something to consider. You may want more floor lighting. You may want more lamps on tables, stuff like that.
Yeah, really use that Pinterest board as inspiration. And guys, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Jump on some of the online sites like Wayfair, look at their sales and their returns and see if you can't, grab something to put in a smaller room or an office space. It really just kind of elevates your space with not a large amount of money. Well,
yeah. And I'm a big hack girly. I like to save money on things when I know that I can get the exact same product for less. So Goodwill, I know it's kind of not everybody's expertise, but Goodwill is great to find lighting. There's a lot of lamps that people get rid of. And another one, I have found a Target warehouse. It is out in Arlington, but it's amazing. They sell everything at wholesale prices. So I've gotten lamps and mirrors and everything for 40 to 70% off. So that one's a good one as well.
Yeah, nice little hacks when you're trying to save some money on those small renovations. Okay, we want to talk about where you should spend your money, right, guys? It's easy. Go in your bedroom, paint that one wall, have an accent color, put wallpaper up in the office. There's some things you can do that are kind of those simple, trendy things. But when you're going to spend money on renovations, maybe you've decided you want to stay in the house that you've been in. You don't want to move because the kids are in school, but you really need that kind of uplift, right? The house just needs a little facelift. Yeah. We're going to talk about kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor living spaces. That's where you're going to get your money back because, guys, those are the more expensive projects. If you are ripping out an entire kitchen, even keeping the cabinets and maybe painting them, refacing them, more often than not, if you're going to redo countertops, you're going to need a new backsplash and vice versa. So really kind of try to be cohesive in that project. It's very, very hard for a buyer to walk into a home and see kind of the old backsplash with the new granite or the new countertop space.
They can't see that vision.
It's very hard to visualize and say, oh my gosh, there's so much work to do, when really the backsplash is not that expensive to have replaced. It just seems kind of daunting. But really spending your money, if you're going to do a larger project, and I'm talking somewhere from $15,000 to $40,000, depending on what you're doing, that's going to be your kitchens, your primary bathrooms, maybe even your powder bath. That's a little bit cheaper one that's going to have a pretty big impact because that's what the guests actually see when they come into your home. But then those outdoor living spaces doesn't have to be expensive. Maybe a little bit of a cover, maybe building in the grill area. You can do a fire pit as opposed to trying to add a fireplace, which can be $10,000 to $15,000. So there's some ways to really make impact in that backyard. Luxury vinyl or luxury turf is a great way to do that. So if you have the muddy paws through the winter, right, putting turf in the backyard is a way that just brightens up the entire visual appeal of your lawn. So guys, there's some ways you can really kind of get that money back in the long run and, enjoy it, hopefully.
Yeah. Another thing to think about whenever you're renovating is staying eco-friendly. And I don't mean recycling. I mean saving money on your energy bill, making sure that if you're replacing windows, you're getting double paned windows that help you save money on energy costs for the long run. And if you were to sell your house, you can say, oh, my house is green friendly. That's just something that is it's intriguing to people right now. Everything is very expensive. And if you can save money on electricity, why not? The other thing to consider would be low flow faucets. This is something that would save you money on your water bill. If you're from Celina, Texas, you understand we have gold water here.
It's priced like gold.
I wish it was gold water, but it's priced like gold. Yes. So just something to think about. It makes a big difference to a lot of buyers. Something we are kind of seeing right now is solar panels. I mean, it's kind of a controversial topic in the state of Texas because, yes, it might save you money in the long run if you are going to own your home for 20 years. Makes it a little bit more difficult in the state of Texas because Texas doesn't really give you a tax break. I think there's a very, very small tax break, but not enough to make a difference in your actual energy bill. So if you're kind of planning on moving in 2 to 5 years and you don't, it's not a very long-term investment for somebody else to purchase your home with solar panels.
That's going to be a very personal decision when it comes to solar panels, but we just really recommend that you do your research. We are not seeing property value increases from solar panels. We're actually seeing some struggles because the way those companies are structured in some cases, and it has to do with the loan payments that go with those solar panels, right?
They're not adding a PID to somebody's home. Like that, the person that's buying it has to take over those payments unless you as the seller want to pay those payments in full before they take ownership of the home. So.
Yeah, so there's some things you can do. She mentioned the windows. Guys, if you go buy light bulbs, they're going to be energy efficient, right? So we have some things that are already built in. If you're replacing toilets in a house, they're going to be more efficient with water usage. So just some things to kind of consider because it should help you with your basic month-to-month utility bills. So you're going to get a little bit back from some of those simple updates. And then really challenges. You're going to have challenges if you're going to do a renovation. And that means anything from doing it yourself, you're just going to paint a wall. Well, guys, put down the tarp because the odds are somebody's going to step in the paint, the dog's going to walk through it, and then you have a whole different issue to deal with. But when you're dealing with contractors, really, really, really vet your contractors. Don't just go on and Google somebody and hire them and give them all your money. Right? Make sure that you're getting personal referrals. That's what's so great about a lot of the local community Facebook groups. You can ask for almost any kind of contractor, whether it's a plumber to a flooring installer, and you're going to get some really great referrals, people who have had personal experience. I just really, really, really recommend that you vet your contractors, hold final payments, do not pay them until everything is completely completed, walked through, checked off, and we're good to go. So a couple little things there because you're going to run into challenges when you're doing renovations. Just if you're prepared for it, it maybe is a little less stressful in the long run.
Maybe this is the point where you would go on YouTube and type in, what challenges should I expect when DIYing my home?
Yes. And guys, we are your local resource here in North Texas. If you are looking for any kind of contractor, vendors. I mean, gosh, we get texts and emails every day for who cuts your hair to
who can fix my appliances.
Exactly. Who can fix my appliances? Who's the best plumber, electrician? So we are here to help you. We only refer vendors and contractors that we personally work with and that we have a relationship with, because we know that they're going to take care of our clients and our friends and our community members just like we would. So if you ever need us just as a resource, please do not hesitate to reach out. We would love to get to know you and be able to assist you anything that has to do with your home or the community.
Yeah, if you will follow us on Facebook and Instagram, we are typically on there 24/7 to answer anybody's questions and send referrals. So if you have any other questions, that's where you can find us.
Yep, you can drop comments below, but don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel with your friends.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye guys.